In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use the tools in the latest version of NX Studio from Nikon. Throughout the video, I will give you my opinion of the layout, the ease of use, and other features. Hello everyone, my name is Vaughn. If you watched any of my videos, then you know I'm a Nikon photographer. This free software helped me get started editing my photos when I purchased my first Nikon camera. If you're new to NX Studio, this suite of tools helps camera users view, process, and edit photos and videos. It combines the features of View NX and Capture NX in a single workflow. Nikon Transfer 2 is also included. This photo video suite is recommended for beginners if you want to learn how to process photos and videos, or if you're an intermediate and you just want to do quick edits. This software is not a replacement for well-known photo and video software like Adobe, Photoshop, or Lightroom. The suite of tools is for improving your editing technique, and it will also help lessen your learning curve. Please hit that like button and leave a comment. Now let's get started using NX Studio. We're now at the Nikon download site. We're going to download NX Studio. We want to make sure that we download 1.1.2 and not the others below. This was released on February the 15th, 2022. And so let's go to the view download page, where you choose which operating system you're going to use. We're going to use Windows today. If you're using a Mac, then you would choose Mac OS. We're going to do Windows. And as you can see here, it gives you details on what cameras you can use and what file formats and notes. It doesn't allow playback or ProRes 422 HQ video. It doesn't support that, and also it doesn't support playback of H2.65. It requires a plug-in. So all your intermediate guys that are trying to do video with NX Studio, be careful. All right, and here are the changes from version 1.10 to 1.12. This version fixes an issue where the white balance tool wasn't producing the expected results with raw pictures taken with the Z9. It also fixes an issue that affects playback of 3840 times 2160 at 60p and 3840 times 2160 50p video recorded using a Z7 II and a Z6 II. All right, and that's the installation file and user manual. And we're going to click the accept, and we're going to pick our region. My region is US, and we're going to download the 64-bit for my computer. While it's downloading, let's see what other cameras supported digital cameras. So it added the Z9, the Z7 II, the Z7, and the Z6 II. And other cameras, those are the newer Z cameras, and you can still use it with your older cameras. There we go. So I have the older version of NX Studio, so it just wants to update mine. There we go. We're updating. So if you're new to NX Studio, this software will help you tremendously. If you're new to photo editing, see here, it's going over README, giving you everything, all the warnings. Let's see, read the following, and it gives you the important updates. This one I'm concerned about is 7.1. Videos created at 30p, 50i, or 50p 60 may not play smoothly under certain circumstances. And you want to read over these because you have to remember that this is a free piece of software, and so with free pieces of software there are limitations. Come out of the screen. We're gonna let the software load, and I'm just gonna skip through it. All right, the installation is complete, so let's click finish. We're waiting on the program to load. The program is installed, so let's go to it. Let's open NX Studio. I'll go to the file. There's NX Studio. It's loading. Processing. All right, let's make sure we have the correct version. And we'll go to the About. and it is version 1.1.2, and that is the correct version. Right, so we're good. All right, let's do a quick overview of the top menus. So this is the file menu, and it has where you can transfer your pictures from your camera or from an SD card from the SD card reader. You can show your images immediately after shooting. You can edit videos. It shows you what you can open with. You can rename your photos. You can export, upload, basic settings, edit. You can select all the photos. You can select your photos by the file types. You can select them by the ratings from this menu. Select them by the label. You can add labels to your photos, and that is very convenient when you're sorting your photos. That helps out your workflow. So you can rotate the photos, you can rate them from there. You can choose labels, protection, okay. View, this just shows you thumbnail size, zoom ratios, image information. You can click that on and off. Histogram, you can choose to show the histogram or not show the histogram. Filters, image viewing, you can show the grid, you can show the focus point, you can show the highlights, you can show the shadows, you can show raw images. And the windows, it just gives you different options. Help, NX help, you can check for updates, open. And let's go through this menu. Here, you can use this to import your files from your camera or from your SD card through a reader. This menu right here is a source, and it'll just search for a camera or a removable disk when you plug them into your PC or Mac. This is where you can select where you want the files to transfer to. And this is the backup destination. This is very important. Make sure you always have a primary destination and a backup destination, just in case your files in your primary destination are altered and you save them with the wrong format or they become corrupted. You'll always have a copy in the backup. And here are the preferences where you can show to transfer only new files, synchronize the camera date and time, switch over to record from a second slot, disconnect automatically after transfer, delete original files after transfer. You never want to check that one because you want to make sure that all your files have transferred over first before you delete them. Because what normally happens is sometimes you'll have like 300 to 400 photos and they may not all transfer because you had one of these boxes unchecked, and then the next thing you know it, you go back into your camera and you delete all your files and you don't have any backups. So make sure you go over these check boxes carefully. And the final one, open destination folder with the following application after transfer. And this will choose which file, which piece of software you want to use, whether you want to use NX Studio to view your files or Explorer to view your files, or you can browse to pick your own software to use after you make the transfer. So let's click out of that. Let me make sure there's not anything else. One more thing, once you download your files, you can click thumbnails to choose how to group them according to the date shot, the extension, the folder. Also down below, once you connect with Nikon Transfer 2, you'll start the transfer if you're transferring from your camera or from your SD card reader. Note, Nikon Transfer 2 at one time was separate from NX Studio, but now it's included with NX Studio. So if you're new, that's an added plus. So let's go into the navigation file. Favorite photos, you can save your favorite folders right here. And this is where all your files are from your PC or your Mac. And this is the information for each one of your files. So let's do this one. So this one was large. Right now you have the option to use on your scroll mouse, you can use the scroll dial, or you can use this. You can put the image to the window, or you can do this and you can adjust it this way, plus or minus it. That all depends on how you like to do it. And let's go over here. Right here, you can view thumbnails. You can view the thumbnails of all your photos that you selected in the folder. This list, the thumbnail list, where you can choose. This is the map list. So if you have the GPS setting on your camera set, you can, and it will give the longitude and the latitude of each file, and it will show where your file was shot. I don't have that set on my camera. And this takes you back to the main view. And this is the 2-image view where you can view 2 files. And this is another view where you can do switch to 4 images. You just click that and select an image, click that, select another image. Then you can choose this one to do before and after. So if you change any settings, so let's change the setting on this one. So I'm changing the setting on that one. And that's what it looked like before, and that's what it looks like after. That's not a good example, but I'm just showing you how that works. And that gives you good detail. Next setting is view or hide the film strip. So when you click this will hide the film strip at the bottom. So you can click that to do the film strip vertically, or you can click that, or that makes the screen go full screen. So you have a wider panel. So let's click back out of that, and it goes back to the normal view. This one right here filters your images. So with your filter image, if you rate your images, you can rate it by filter it by the date shot. You can filter it by the date modified, the file size, the file type, the rating, label, ISO sensitivity, and other settings. And so what this is good for is if you want to isolate certain photos according to the way you rate them, according to the star or the file type, it's easier that way to sort. And also, if you right click on your mouse in the panel, there's other settings where you can open with movie editor, delete a file. You can show the grid, so you can do the rule of thirds to see if your photo applies. So as you can see, my photo is pretty close. I'm occupying this sector. I could move her over this. I could clip this and move this over a little bit, and I will be in this section right here, and then I'll be pretty good right there. And so that's what you normally do with your photos. You want to adjust the rule of thirds and adjust the color, the brightness, the contrast. And so let's go on to some other menus. So up top, you can edit videos. You can open this image into another app. You can do a slideshow. You can print the photo, or you can upload it, or you can export it. All right, so we have our settings. So let's go back to the main setting. I want to go back to the full screen, and I want to turn off the grid. So I can just right click, turn off the grid right here. I can also show the focus point. So that shows the focus point of who I focused on, and I focused on her since she's the primary person. She's the center of attention, so it shows you that. So if you want to look at the focus points, also if you want to see the highlights, show highlights. and that'll show you the highlights in the photo. And that's pretty good for, this is pretty good for a piece of software that's free. It's very functional. All right, let's edit a photo or two. So I have two photos that I edited. One's the original, the raw file. So to all the beginners, you always want to start off with your raw files, not JPEGs. If you edit in with your raw files, you have more flexibility. And if you notice here, all the panels on this side are open. They're ready to go. You have all these options over here to edit your photos. If you have a JPEG file, a JPG file, if you only photo in JPEG, then if you notice, all these functions are grayed out and you're not able to use everything. And so that shapes your file. As you notice from this photo and that photo, let's put them side by side. I want this one over here. Okay, if you notice from these two photos, the difference. This is the original photo out of the camera. This is the way it looked out of the camera. And this is the way it looked after I edited the photo. See the difference? So let's see what the value is for this one. Let's go to this panel right here. This is the histogram. This will show whether how this photo was taken and whether it was properly exposed. So far it shows that it was properly exposed because it's in the middle. It's if it's to the left, then it's underexposed. If it's to the right, then it's overexposed. And it shows the camera was compatible. That's great. So white balance, auto. So you with the raw file, I can go in and I can change the settings. I can change the white balance. Or I can have the system calculated automatically, and you see how it calculated the white balance. And that's why it's very important that you have the white balance correct. Use gray point. Okay. All right, let's go over some other menus and we'll come back to this. This is the info tab, and it shows when the file was created, what type of file it is, the date it was modified, the file size. It shows that I used lossless compression. It's got my information in. So that's another thing, is you want to go into the info and add this info to your photos in your camera. You can do this in your camera, or you can do it in NX Studio. And it shows all my camera information, my exposure. I shot this at 2.8. And I usually shoot it standard, so that way I can color grade it myself, color correct it. And the XP in this folder, you can add all your information for your for your photos. You can add the description, the event, the title, the copyright. And what this does is this bakes it into the photo. So when you give it to the client or you give it to the family members, and they go to the photo processing center, it'll automatically have your information, and then that way no one can steal your photos. That's very convenient. So let's go back to the adjustments. So this is a raw file, so let's change a few things. Let's make an adjustment. So if we make an adjustment this way, notice how that warms the photo up. and that pushes it more to the overexposed side. See how that warms it up? Let's go do exposure compensation. Notice how that gets brighter. So see how that histogram's in the middle? We want to keep it in the middle, or depending on how you like your photos, that's how it goes. All right, brightness. You can brighten it. Saturation, saturate it a little bit. Now this photo right here, this particular photo, I did it in Adobe Lightroom. I have a preset because that's my color scheme for my photos. All right, and highlight protection, and what that does is that it, see how that improves the highlight. So in case your photo's a little too bright, especially on the whites, sometimes they get blown out. If you do the highlight protection, you can bring the detail back. Same thing with the shadow protection. Notice how that brings back detail. Now the thing with shadow protection is you want to make sure that you shoot your photos properly exposed, because the more you use shadow protection, the more noise you introduce. DH lighting. And up top, here are more controls. You can use this gray point to adjust the photo. So you want to pick something gray in your photo, and that will automatically white balance it. You normally want to pick something neutral like a gray color, and that'll automatically photo balance that. The next one is use the auto retouch brush to remove dust from images. So say that you don't normally clean your camera lens, or you notice that you have dust on your lens. This will help with that. And next is the color control point tool. And what this will do is it will, where you click that, it will adjust that on the spot. So it'll adjust that spot that you picked. See, it'll adjust just that spot. And then if you don't like it, all you have to do is this, click it to undo it, and you're back to where you started. And that's a great thing about NX Studio, is you can undo things by checking a box. You don't have to go necessarily up to undo every time. That's called a non-destructive option. Okay, next we crop tool. So you have the option to pre-crop or crop it according to a different format or different size. So I normally crop my images. So if I want to crop my images because I want to use the rule of thirds, then I will use the crop tool. Or if I just want to crop out some distracting feature like that shear back in the background and the picture is cropped. And the picture is now cropped, but I still have the other image. And if I don't like that, I can just check it and it will go back to the original image. And again, if I want it again, and then at this point I would save it as another file just to make sure I don't lose any settings. All right. So right here, we're gonna do This is a straighten tool where you can adjust how you want the photo to go. Okay. And that adjusts that one. See how I turn that? And so that just gives you a different view. And if I want to undo that, I just do that. And down below is the camera. These are more advanced settings. That's the reason why they're at the bottom. So the camera, image dust off. Oh, cancel. And these are just more settings. Lens correction. Just more settings for intermediate photographers. If you're new or beginner, you can learn about those later. I wouldn't bother about those, but the main ones you need are up top. Now here's the color booster. This is where the fun begins. So it has the option for people or nature. So let's see what that looks like. Oh yeah, see how that gets lovely. So if you like your pictures very vivid, this is a setting for you. Look at that, look at that. And that's getting closer to that. Right. And noise reduction. If you take, these are low light photos, so they have a high ISO of 3200. So normally there's noise in the photos. So let's increase it so I can show you the noise. See that noise in the photo? A lot of noise. So what we would do is we have noise reduction. And so that's without, that's noise reduction. We can have the application fix the noise reduction. And so we can choose different ones. Or we can change the intensity ourselves. So see how that changes noise reduction? So you can adjust the intensity yourself. And sharpness if you want to be a little sharper. And then there are other noise reduction options down at the bottom. So if I want to do a little bit more, let's see what a little bit more noise reduction does. All right, then if I want to go back out, it's still processing. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, that's better. See, that smoothed it out a little bit more. Okay, and see, in comparison, it's starting to look a little bit more like this. The other photo that I did in Photoshop. Wow. And that's all from a free piece of software. So let's do this. All right, so if I want to take that panel off and I want to work with that side and I only want this side, then I have that option. If I want to take these away, then I would go down here and click this. Histogram, I can add the histogram to each side by clicking this one. I hope I'm not getting ahead of you. And that is very convenient. So that way you can see how you're editing the photo. So that matches that. And so these are very premium features. Nikon keeps improving this application each time they have a new version. Right, so let's so we adjusted the brightness, the contrast, the saturation, and we can do the chroma colors. I love this section. This is where you can get creative. See? You can adjust the curves, and this is where most of the creatives get those photos with the cool colors. So I want to put a little bit more red in it, or I can go to the yellow side, or put a little bit more green, or add a little bit, make the blue stand out. It all depends on who you are and what your style is. And this is for the, also if you click, you can make different points. And this will adjust different colors. And this is for mostly for the intermediate to advanced. Once you get past this box right here, this panel, active D-lighting. And as always, if you don't like something or you do something, then you can undo it. And you're back to square one. Right. Color booster, you don't like that? You can take it, make it flat again. Some people like their photos flat. I like mine with a little color, with a little boost. All right, now we're gonna adjust the same photo. We're gonna do this. We're gonna go back to our original format, and I'm just gonna select this JPEG. So let's enlarge it. So if you notice on the JPEG, I don't have that much latitude to adjust it. All I can adjust is the brightness and color. I can still adjust lightness, chroma, and hue, and the color booster, but everything else is grayed out. Look at that. And let's see, noise reduction. I always need noise reduction when you're shooting in low light and you have high ISO photos. This photo is fine. So let me find a photo that's not so grand. Now this one I can bring it up. So as you noticed, it's far to the right. So we're doing pretty good with this one. And let's see what the noise reduction looks like. So you wanna, I could do a little bit more. So when you're doing noise reduction, you wanna make their skin smooth, but at the same time, you don't wanna make it look too smooth and make their skin look rubbery. So let's see if I can, what'll happen if I do a little. Also what'll happen is when you do too much noise reduction, you lose detail. So you notice how I just lost detail? So if I wanted to rate this one, I could right click it and I would just rate it. And just like this photo right here, I can right click it and rate it. And then I can go back up here, ratings. and then I can rate it. And then it'll rate the photos for me. So all these photos have already been rated, a majority of them. So let's go back into this view. And if I want to do more, I could always upload these photos to YouTube. If I'm doing a video, I can always upload it to YouTube. So let's do a video file from this occasion. So I have the video in this folder. It's processing it. And so with video, let's see what's available. So with video, just like photography, it is limited. If you're going to do anything serious with video, you want to do it in Adobe Premiere or DaVinci Resolve. This will just give you basic edits. And if you want to use another application, you can choose another application. You can general, and you can choose your option, what application to open with. You can add your application. It already knows what applications you have on your computer. So after you finish with this file and you do a basic edit, either in photography or video, you can always transfer the file to another application like Photoshop or Adobe Audition, depending on if you are doing video and you have sound files. Okay, so let's cancel out of that. And so here you can just do basic edits, or you can shorten it or lengthen it. And then what you can do next is right click. You can output this file to YouTube. And you can log into your YouTube and you can send it. You can add your address information, authenticate, and you can choose your YouTube file to send your video files from if you're doing a quick edit. So let's go back to NX Studio. As you can see, you're very limited in what you can do in NX Studio. As you notice from this review, that NX Studio is a very convenient program if you need free software to edit your photos or video. Its ease of use is very simple once you learn all the menus, and once you tinker with it and play with it, it's a fast pickup, easy learning curve, and you just have to learn the limitations and you'll be fine. You can't expect it to run the same as a premium piece of software, but like I said earlier in the video, it will help you learn video editing and photography editing. This completes my review of NX Studio. Please subscribe and hit that bell. Thank you for watching this video. Please watch my other videos on NX Studio.